And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we will be discussing NFTs and Gary Vee's recent bullishness and enthusiasm around the NFT space. There are some of you who are of the mindset that this is another bubble, similar to the ICO craze of 2017. Many of you are asking a question: why would someone ever want to spend $4,000 or $5,000 on someone's tweet? And I think that you're missing the bigger picture. I am of the mindset, like Gary Vee, this is going to be extremely disruptive technology going forward. And if you've been following me over the past 2 years, I've stated on numerous occasions that this technology is much bigger than Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is just the tip of the iceberg. See, what a lot of you do not understand is that currency, or a settlement layer, or a store of value, which is basically, that's what Bitcoin is, that's just one aspect of finance and one aspect of this technology. When you start thinking about the financial ecosystem, currency and store of value is just one aspect. You have derivatives, borrowing, lending, margin trading, exchanges. Think about insurance on a blockchain. And then when you go outside of finance and you start thinking about this in a much more, a broader ecosystem, now you have to start thinking about healthcare on the blockchain, digital identity on the blockchain. And now we're talking about non-fungible tokens and NFTs. So this is bigger than just buying a tweet or reselling a JPEG. I want you to start thinking about artists and musicians primarily, and how that they can use this technology to remove middlemen. Remember, the whole idea of this technology is to be borderless, is to be permissionless, is to be peer-to-peer, and to be censorship resistant. So now as an artist, I don't have to deal with iTunes or Spotify. I can have a smart contract that can facilitate where my funds go and who they go to. Also start thinking about gaming. As I said to you before, I'm a big gamer. What many of you do not understand is that you do not own your Xbox Live account. So being that everything is digital, you don't own the physical copy of the game. So if you lose access to your Xbox Live account, you lose access to all of the games that you've purchased. You lose access to all of the skins and the custom packages that you've purchased within those games. So being able to control the private keys and to control the wallet, to control access to those items, is extremely powerful. Think about your iTunes account with all of the music that you've purchased on your iTunes account. Think about you going out here and purchasing books through the the iTunes store or the Apple store, right? When you understand that at the end of the day, Apple controls your access to that platform, that's a permissioned platform. And see, this ties back into the Web 1.0, the Web 2.0, and the Web 3.0. When you look at the way that the internet was structured in Web 1.0, it really was just a bunch of HTML sites that you could just basically go and browse the internet and read. And then the Web 2.0 came, and that allowed you to be able to write and be a content creator. So you could read websites, but you can also actually write to websites and be a content creator. And now everyone has a cell phone, and anyone can be a YouTuber. Anyone can go on Clubhouse. Anyone can be a podcaster. We're currently in the Web 2.0. The problem with the Web 2.0 is that the tech titans, they control the flow of information. They control the access to these platforms, and they control what you can and cannot do. And they really act as a barrier to entry, and also as middlemen when you start talking about what you can and cannot do on those platforms. So in regards to the music industry, when you start looking at NFTs, you have people like Tory Lanez who just launched their own NFT project where he was able to create an NFT music project. You have Kings of Leon doing the same thing. And now they can skirt around these middlemen and these, distribution deals and licensing deals and just deal in a peer-to-peer way. That's extremely powerful. And now this is where the Web 3.0 comes into play, because the Web 2.0, it allowed Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and all of these conglomerates and major companies to basically collude together. And they created this sort of, an atmosphere and environment where they control the flow of information and the access. Well, with the Web 3.0 and decentralization, now it gives power back to us, the individual users, and we can start interacting in a peer-to-peer fashion and actually operating in an open way. Because see, what many of you don't understand is Bitcoin's an open ledger. You can see everything that's happening in the ledger. Well, what's happening now is people simply are just taking that concept of being peer-to-peer, permissionless, and borderless and applying it to different industries. So now we can have a censorship-resistant protocol, an open protocol where we know the rules of engagement and we understand exactly what we are, dealing with in a peer-to-peer fashion. Hold on real quick. Let me just check something, see what's going on. I don't have any audio issue. Can everyone hear me clearly? Testing, testing, testing. My audio seems clear. Refresh the stream. Audio's fine. Audio's fine. It's fine now. Yeah, there's no problem with my audio. Some of you guys just need to go out and come back in. So just refresh the stream. The audio's fine. Just refresh the stream. There we go. Yeah, so like I was saying, with the Web 3.0, it gives us more control of our content. It gives us more control of our data. It gives us more control of who we want to transact with and who we do not want to transact with. And I really think that you need to just be aware of that. And this is why I'm so bullish on Ethereum, because look at all of the innovation that's actually happening on top of the Ethereum blockchain and within the ecosystem, where we have, decentralized exchanges like Uniswap, and then we have layer 2 scaling solutions like, optimistic rollups and ZK rollups coming out. And we have NFTs being launched on there. We have platforms like Synthetics, and we have, autonomous central banks like Maker and stable coins and Aave, where we have banks being launched on top of the Ethereum ecosystem. This is why I'm so bullish on ETH, because when you look at the Cardanos, the Polkadots, the Avalanches, they're all trying to emulate and copy what's happening within the Ethereum ecosystem. And you have to be mindful of that. When you look at the Binance Smart Chain, they didn't go out and copy, the Aave virtual machine. They didn't go out and copy Cardano. They copied the Ethereum virtual machine. So you need to make sure that you are being mindful of these things. Now, again, this technology is fairly new. And yes, this technology will have multiple iterations and change over time. But you have to be mindful of that. And again, I will keep repeating this. Bitcoin is just the tip of the iceberg. And what a lot of you don't understand is that the technology, this idea of hash functions and cryptography, isn't new. The concept of a blockchain was created by Stuart Haber back in the Xerox days. So what Satoshi simply did, whomever or whatever Satoshi may be, is they simply blended together existing technology to solve the double spending problem. Because when you think about it, how hard is it to create or recreate a digital good or service or a picture or an image? You just simply copy and paste it. So that's always plagued digital goods and services, is that it's so easy to recreate these digital goods and services. But now with an open blockchain, with hash functions, with timestamp servers, with consensus protocols and mechanisms in place, we can now use the blockchain to verify ownership of an actual good, a digital good, or even a physical good. and now we can actually verify the authenticity of that good, and now we can monetize that good. So this is much bigger than just JPEGs. This is much larger and bigger than finance or currencies, and I 100% agree with Gary Vee. This is going to be extremely disruptive to a lot of people who their entire business model is being middlemen and middle women. So please do me a favor as you come into the live stream. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe. Make sure that you hit the notification bell and you set it to all so that you receive all of my notifications. In the description below, there will be a link to follow me on Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram. Shoot me a DM if you would like to dialogue. Also, you can join my mailing list so that I can notify you via email whenever I'm going live. I'm also about to start notifying you guys via text message when I go live as well. I just think that many of you have your phones in your hand, so it's much easier for me to be able to immediately just shoot you a direct message and get in contact with you. For those of you who are interested in learning about crypto and learning about this technology and the fundamentals that make up this technology, I created my Tech Academy. We currently have a free 3-day trial. You are more than welcome to come test it out free of charge for the first 3 days. We cover the basic fundamentals of what is a hash function, how to store your crypto, how to buy your crypto. This upcoming Monday, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can create your own NFTs. I know a lot of you think that this is complex, but it's really not. And I'm going to be covering some of the basic things and then getting into some more advanced concepts on how you can create your own NFTs and how you can market your own NFTs as well. Again, a link to join my Tech Academy is in the description below. You're also going to see it keep popping up in the chat as we go throughout the stream. And if everyone can hear me clearly, if you can see me clearly, simply type 1 in the chat. If you're having any audio issues, simply just refresh the stream and come back and we'll get started. Okay. Okay. So Gary Vee tweeted out, and they thought Napster was disruptive. Wait till blockchain NFT hit the music industry. Shit's about to be super interesting. Technology always squeezes the middle. Remember, the whole idea about Bitcoin was to create a decentralized peer-to-peer form of cash where you and I can transact in a peer-to-peer way where we can remove middlemen, and more importantly, we could actually have physical ownership of our assets, right? The most powerful thing that you can take away from this is that I control the private keys to my assets. I no longer have to depend on any middleman or third party to hold my crypto for me. I control the private keys. Therefore, I control my assets. Extremely powerful. Now, a lot of you're asking, well, what's the difference between a fungible token and a non-fungible token, or just the difference between something that's fungible versus non-fungible? The very first thing you have to understand is that for something to be fungible, it needs to be interchangeable. So think about a dollar bill. You have a dollar, I have a dollar, we can exchange it. It's fungible, right? I don't really care as long as your dollar is real and my dollar is real. We have two authentic dollars. There's no difference between this dollar and this dollar, right? It's fungible. It's also divisible. Think about this. If you had 4 quarters and I have a dollar, I'll take your 4 quarters, I'll give you $1. If I had a $20 bill, you had 4 fives, I would swap the 4 fives and take the 20, right? It's fungible. It doesn't matter. For something to be non-fungible, it's not interchangeable, right? And it's unique and it's not divisible. So for example, if I had a car, my car is unique to me, right? I have a Mercedes Benz. If you came to me and said, I want to swap my Prius for your Mercedes Benz, I would say, hell no, right? Because my car is unique, right? And it's not interchangeable. So that's why you can get to something being non-fungible. And this is how we start talking about non-fungible tokens, because with Ethereum, the ERC20 standard basically anything that has an ERC20 standard, it has the same interface, right? You can swap them back and forth. So you can swap Uniswap for USDC, et cetera, and it's really no difference. It has the same interface. When you get to the ERC 721 standard, that's when you start giving unique attributes to particular tokens. So you may have a particular Michael Jordan basketball card, and you may mint a digital version of that. Only one of those cards are going to exist on the blockchain. If, for example, I'm a gamer, I love Warframe. Let's say that I have Excalibur Prime. Excalibur Prime is a unique Warframe. Let's say that there's only 20 of them in the entire game. There's only going to be 20 of those unique actual characters and no more than that, right? So it's a way that you can start actually giving and assigning unique attributes to particular goods and services. So just make sure that you keep this in mind. Now, when we start looking at some of the stuff that was selling recently, there was a Beeple right here. Beeple, he created a piece of art and it sold for $6 million. And then it turned around, he ended up selling it for $69 million. And I believe that this is the art right here. This is it right here. Again, I know to you, you're saying to yourself, who the hell would want to buy this? I totally agree. But again, as I said before, I'm going to make the case that NFTs are much, much bigger than, you know, a piece of digital art or some 40-second GIF. Then we have this right here. These are CryptoPunks. These are basically just JPEGs. And they're selling for, you know, right now, a new bid, $39,000, $43,000. Some people are, you know, bidding $1.58 million for these basic JPEGs. Now, understand that value is subjective. What you may think is overvalued, another person may think is undervalued. The marketplace determines what is and what isn't valuable. But again, I want to take it a step further. As I said to you before, start thinking about you selling your books or you selling your music and you being able to control how many copies you sell. Having a smart contract that, think about how many artists were robbed back in the day because they did not understand contract and contract law. Well, now with a smart contract, we can pull it up on the blockchain and we can see exactly what that contract is about. What's the licensing agreement? What's the distribution agreement? Where are the funds supposed to go and where are the funds not supposed to go? So this is also a way of protecting artists. And I want to get to this article because I really believe that this article, you know, encapsulates a lot of what I want to say. So it says, music NFTs have gone mainstream. Who's in? Last week, Kings of Leon became the first band to release a new album as a non-fungible token. And a representative tells Rolling Stone that the band has already grossed more than $2 million in sales, with $600,000 of that going to Crew Nation. While Kings weren't the first musicians to ever distribute work this way, their high-profile project brought in a slew of curious fans and spotlighted a burgeoning tech trend that was until recently flying under the radar as a fringe craze. So let's take a look at some key artists who've crowded into this trend in the last few weeks. In the hours before Kings of Leon's drop, Tory Lanez released 3 new tracks as NFTs. 2 of the songs came from his new album, Playboy, which arrived 10 hours later, and 1 from his not yet named 80s themed album. Now let's take a step back. What's happening right now with Tory Lanez? Him and Megan Thee Stallion, they're tied up in the dispute. Whether you believe he's guilty or not, that's not the context of this video. Gatekeepers, centralized companies like Spotify or iTunes, they could freeze Tory Lanez out. Payment merchants and gateways such as Stripe, etc., they can say, you know what, we're not going to process any of your payments because you abuse women. Having crypto removes gatekeepers, where a person can now no longer say, well, because we don't like what's going on with you, or because you're guilty in the eyes of the public, you can't sell your music, or you can't get access to a merchant. And don't tell me that I'm being extreme, because we just watched Twitter kick the president of the United States off their platform. We just watch payment processors say and banks say that they're no longer going to work with Donald Trump. Again, this isn't about what you may think politically. This is about saying that you are entitled to be able to transact and do what you need to do, regardless of a third party or a gatekeeper being able to say, no, we don't like your political affiliation, or we don't like what's happening with you in the justice system right now. So this is extremely important. And this is why I keep trying to say to you, the future will either be centralized or decentralized. And having access to, permissionless platforms to be able to sell your goods and services without having to sell your soul to middlemen is extremely important. The rapper collaborated with a blockchain company called Bondly Finance to create 450 song NFTs, all of which also included a chance to meet and greet the star virtually. The tokens sold out within minutes. Lane's collection earned a record $500,000, including resales in the first 24 hours, a representative tells Rolling Stone. Now understand, he may sell 1 million records, hypothetically, but 450 of those songs are exclusive NFTs. So now you, the buyer, right? Because a lot of you are saying, well, why would I want to buy a tweet? Well, if I buy the tweet, now I have ownership of that particular token. So now it creates a marketplace where I can resell that token as the owner. I want you to think about 50 Cent with Get Rich or Die Trying. Get Rich or Die Trying sold 12 million copies. What if the first 1 million copies of those 12 million were a special NFT, a special collector's item, and the physical CD actually had an autograph on it unique to those 1 million copies? And then those 1 million copies actually had 4 unique tracks to it. So now it creates a resale market. So think about people who go out and buy Air Jordans, or people who go out and buy Yeezys and they go out here and resell them. Well, if you have the ownership to the authentic first 1 million or the authentic first 500,000, now it creates where I actually own a collector's item that will appreciate in value that I can then go out and resell. So you have to make sure that you keep an eye on these things, right? Because this is much bigger than just buying a tweet. It's creating a whole new marketplace for collectors to be able to go out here and hold goods and services. Now, another thing I want to speak about is when we were talking about books, because again, what are we talking about? Censorship, ownership, permissioned access versus permissionless. So right here, it says Amazon faces questions over removal of a book by a conservative. A lot of people complain about Apple, Amazon, and how they censor certain content. Again, a lot of conservatives like to complain about this. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on. What I'm saying to you is that this technology opens up the door for anyone to be a creator and removes the middlemen. So now I don't have to worry about waking up one day and Apple saying, these books that I purchased or all of these songs that I purchased, because they don't like what I'm doing with my account, or because they don't like these particular songs, they just removed them from out of my library. Right? I actually now have ownership because remember, you have a private key. You control the wallet. Therefore, you control what's in that wallet. See, a lot of you don't understand how deep this rabbit hole goes and why I'm so big on this technology. And I know for a fact that this technology is going to be disruptive because we see so many cases where tech companies get involved and they can shadow ban you. They can remove content that they deem to be dangerous or bad. Well, now when we start getting into crypto and non-fungible tokens, they can't remove it because no one owns the ledger. It's decentralized. It's peer-to-peer. It's permissionless. So a group of Republican senators is asking Amazon Inc. to explain why it recently removed a book about transgendered issues that had been on sale on the platform for about 3 years. In a letter to Amazon chief executive Jeff Bezos dated Wednesday, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, Mike Lee of Utah, Mike Braun of Indiana, and Josh Hawley of Missouri said a book by conservative scholar Ryan T. Anderson, When Harry Became Sally, Responding to the Transgender Moment, was no longer available on Amazon nor on its Kindle or Audible platforms. Amazon, they wrote, has been unable to provide a sufficient explanation as to how the book supposedly violated a vague, undefined, offensive content standard. This is important because we're watching this happen with getting shadow banned, or even on YouTube, certain videos that I will talk about, they'll promote certain videos and then they will not promote certain videos. Now, I know what you're going to say. Freedom of speech protects you from the government. It doesn't protect you from corporations. I understand that. The problem with these corporations is that they change the rules as they go, and they apply certain rules to certain demographics of people and they don't apply them to others. Why does this tie back into non-fungible tokens? Because again, now cryptography and platforms like Theta allows us to skirt around middlemen. We don't have to deal with these terms and these policies that are ever changing. We don't have to worry about gatekeepers telling us what we can say and what we can't say, what we can sell and what we can't sell. We can just simply sell goods and services to each other in a peer-to-peer fashion, and I can control my content and actually own my books and services. Because again, who's to say, for example, I like the book 1984. What happens if we wake up one day and Apple says, you know what, we don't want that book in our stores anymore? What happens to content creators who no longer can control their content? Or even think about how they have monopolies on these devices and they rob the content creators where they're charging them 30 or 40% of their overall sales on their goods and services. And that's what happens with some of the apps inside of the App Store. So again, this is bigger than just a tweet. This is you actually owning your content and controlling the keys. Ownership is really, really big when you start thinking about this. Now, Xbox is notorious for this, and this is really where non-fungible tokens is going to shine in the gaming industry. Xbox is notorious for banning people's accounts. And when they ban your account, they literally just simply say your account is banned and there's nothing you can do about it. There's really no third party that you can go and complain to if they decide to ban your account. You just simply have to deal with it and say, you know what, my account is gone. And think about this. When I was growing up, I actually can go in a store and buy a game. So even if I lost access to my Xbox Live account, I still had the physical game. With everything going digital, I have over 50, 60, 70 games that I may have purchased within my Xbox Live account that I have to digitally download from the Xbox Marketplace. But if they decide to cancel my account, I lose access to all of those games. And right here, if you just simply type in Xbox banning accounts on Warframe, this has happened to a lot of people within the Warframe community where they've spent thousands of dollars on custom skins and custom guns, and they have an in-game currency called Platinum, and literally you lose your account and you lose access to all of the items that you purchased. Again, if I had a wallet, I now physically control those assets, those actual pieces in the game, those tokens in the game, because they can be here on my ledger, they can be in my MetaMask wallet, and then it creates a resale market where, again, I don't have to worry about a middleman taking bits and pieces of my actual items and goods that I have in the game. And what I want to do is I want to show you the game that I'm talking about so that we can get a better understanding as to where I'm going with this when we start talking about gaming. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this, probably 10 seconds. So I'm going to pause it here. Now, this is a Warframe called Rhino Prime. And the way that the Warframe game works is every month they release a new Prime Warframe, or they will bring an old Prime Warframe back. So this is a free-to-play game. And it's one of those games where you have to grind to get a lot of the pieces, meaning it's free to play the game. You can literally get everything in the game for free. But who's going to sit up here and play this game for 20 hours just to get a helmet or just to get a gun? So now what happens is that if you're a player and you've been playing this game for an extensive period of time, I've been playing this game for like 3 or 4 years, you start to have a collection of a lot of the prime pieces that goes back into the vault. And then they have an in-game currency that you can start trading these pieces for. Well, let's start thinking about if I can actually start trading these pieces for Bitcoin or for Ethereum, right? Because there may only be 100 Rhino Primes in the game, and then Rhino Prime goes back into the vault. Well, now I have access to something that you want. So you can't just think about this from the standpoint of you and you not being a gamer. You have to start thinking about, again, start applying this to other industries. I now have something that other kids or adults who play this game want. I may own a Fortnite dance, and there may only be 50 versions of that particular dance. Well, now I can start holding that, and I can start reselling that, and I can hold it by me having the ownership of the underlying asset. As I stated earlier, Bitcoin is just the tip of the iceberg when we start thinking about this technology. Bitcoin's only use case and utility is being a store of value. But as I said before, when Satoshi created this, and he had currency in mind, finance is much broader than currency. You have to think about derivatives, decentralized exchanges, borrowing, lending, banks, identity, health records. All of these things will go on the blockchain. Voting on the blockchain. Look what just happened, what was happening with the election and recounting ballots and having to count ballots by hand. Well, imagine if everyone just had a private key, then we would know how many votes were actually cast, who voted, who didn't vote, just by simply being able to verify the public key, private key pair. So this technology is much, much bigger than, Satoshi and Bitcoin. And what happened is we take the permissionless aspect, the borderless aspect of Bitcoin and the censorship aspect of Bitcoin, and we start applying it to other pieces of technology. You could begin to start to see how this technology is truly going to be revolutionary. And when we look at the fact that the crypto market cap is only, if you look at this, the crypto market cap is only $1.63 trillion today. It's a baby. And I keep trying to tell you that this technology has far-reaching implications because, again, we went through the Web 1.0, as I stated earlier. That was back in the early to late 90s, where websites were just simply read-only. There weren't a lot of people creating content on the internet back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But then the Web 2.0 came. And that created this whole idea of social media and being a content creator and you being able to actually write. So instead of reading web pages, you could actually write to web pages and create content. And that opened up a whole new opportunity of e-commerce and business and things of that nature. But the problem is corporations started centralizing and siloing off and walling off your data and what you can say and what you cannot say. And now the whole concept of decentralization is allowing us to start taking back a lot of that control. And this is where the Web 3.0 comes back into play. And as I said before, think about artists. Think about how many artists back in the days of Motown or NWA, how they were robbed by their managers. Imagine if there was a standard contract for all artists and that they could verify it on the blockchain. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about right now, because I know a lot of you may not be that in tune to what I'm talking about. So this right here is Etherscan, right? And if you simply come over here, I can see the actual smart contract, and I can see that this is the smart contract for Chainlink. And I can see what this contract's actually designed to do. So now imagine for all new artists, if there was a standard contract, a smart contract that can operate, right, without any middleman or woman or no company in the middle, how much safer it would be, how much more lucrative it would be for artists. And then they can actually have access to their goods and services and be able to, again, create these non-fungible tokens and then create communities around their content. Because like I said before, if 50 Cent could have created 1 million or 500,000, non-fungible tokens around that a product that sold 12 million copies, but those 500,000 copies are unique, that would be extremely powerful for him. And it also would be extremely powerful for you, the collector, where you could be able to go out here and resell these goods and services. I saw a few donations come through. Please give me a second. Let me get to them. Iceman Vamp, how would you listen to an album released as an NFT? Well, it will be released on a platform. So we have a platform like this right here, OpenSea, right? So I believe Theta right now is working on being able to create content in a decentralized way. So we would have a decentralized. Right now, we are in the midst of centralized versus decentralized, right? People are battling it out. We're in the early innings of this technology. So obviously, we don't have, the decentralized version of iTunes yet, or a robust decentralized version of YouTube. We're talking about where we are going to go in the future. So how you would be able to listen to this is you would be able to listen to this on a platform like, let's say, an OpenSea. Let's say OpenSea was the version of iTunes. And again, remember, I'm just making this up as I go. There will be smarter people who will figure this out in the future. All right, I'm just broadly looking at this from the standpoint of, I can see it where we're going to have some type of a decentralized system like this. And I can also see where we'll have technology where, and I believe that they have technology like this now, where let's say that you go into a concert and you try to record something, they have technology that can actually block your camera where you won't be able to do it. I'm pretty sure in the future they're going to have technology where if you're trying to play content or record content that you don't have access to, that they're going to be able to block it. I believe the technology already exists. It's just a matter of them rolling it out. So that's how I can see it happening, where it's the same album. It's just you have digital rights to it. So for example, a Michael Jordan basketball card, right? A person can duplicate the card, but there's only one authentic card. And if you have the actual hash, right, the actual, because for those of you who do not know, a hash is a unique digital fingerprint, then we can prove and verify that that's the original version of the Michael Jordan basketball card. And you can mint one and you can have one physical one, right? So the digital one, even if you try to recreate it, we'll be able to prove on the marketplace with the actual hash that that's the unique version of it. So the same way that we can prove that you are the owner of that Bitcoin wallet, the same way that we can verify the hash of that Bitcoin in a time and the actual amount of the Bitcoin will be the same way that we could verify the actual digital version of that Michael Jordan basketball card or that digital version of that particular song by verifying the unique hash associated with that particular good or service. And again, as I said before, we're in the early innings of this. I'm just simply here to broaden your horizon so you can begin to see, because you may be the person. This is why I'm so big on you learning how to code and build this technology. You may be the person that builds the decentralized version of iTunes or a decentralized version of a Spotify and solve that problem for artists or collectors. And this is why you should be getting engaged in the technology and learning how to build it, because it's extremely early. And if you come to a platform like OpenSea, there are people who are, selling goods and services on this platform for literally millions of dollars, such as, collector's items and NFTs. I hope that answers your question. There was another donation that came through from Michael Davis. Imagine if Pokemon created NFTs for their online game, a nuclear pump in crypto would occur. That's what's starting to happen now. You're starting to see the NFL, the NBA, and other companies get involved in the NFT space. Atari right now is working with Bonnley. Logan Paul actually launched some exclusive holographic cards of himself on the Bonnley platform. So there's a lot of people getting involved in this space right now, and it's only going to continue to grow because more and more companies are realizing that crypto is the future. Excuse me. So it's really just a matter of the technology evolving and iterating and going through the boom and bust cycle. Now, will there be garbage like this that sells for millions of dollars? Absolutely. But like Michael Davis says, there are a lot of actual real use cases and utility for items like Pokemon cards and being able to digitize them and bring them onto the blockchain. And there are so many different NFT platforms that allows you to mint physical cards and goods and actually mint them onto the blockchain and make them digital. So, and you can destroy the physical one and just mint a digital version, right? Or you can keep the physical one and also keep the digital version of it. And again, it creates a marketplace where people want to trade for it, because look at this. These are punks. They're trading for $43,000 or $1.5 million or $34,000. I would never buy one of these punks, but someone's willing to buy these. So it opens up so many different avenues for creatives, for artists, for musicians to own their work, monetize their work in a peer-to-peer fashion, and create communities around their work. And then when you start thinking about the metaverse, because those of you who follow me, you know that I'm a big believer and follower of the movie The Matrix. And we're moving into this concept where people spend more time online in the digital world than they do in the physical world. People spend more time looking down at their phone than they actually do talking to their children. And when you start thinking about Oculus and virtual reality and VR or augmented reality, this is now where we get into this idea where we start blending the physical with the digital, and they call that the metaverse. And again, you may think that I'm speaking some far out there things. The Matrix is here. A Brave New World in 1984 is here. And people love bondage. They love to be controlled by devices. And we start talking about transhumanism, right? People are into these things, and people are into the idea of everything being digital. You know, like, how much do you think a blue check mark is worth to some people on Instagram or Twitter? To you and I, we're like, who cares? But to other people, it means the world to them, right? To get a follow from a GaryVee would mean the world to a lot of people, right? So we have to make sure that we're not viewing this NFT craze through the lens that we see the world, but we have to start looking at the lens that others see the world. And as I said before, there are real use cases, you controlling your own goods and services, controlling the keys to your items that you purchase, the books that you've purchased, not allowing Apple to dictate, you know, what you can and cannot see. And then there are other people who they want to buy these punks and things of that nature. So just be mindful of all of these different things. And again, on Monday, next Monday, I'm going to, within the Academy, I'm going to put together a stream for you guys showing you how easy it is to create your own NFTs. So if you're interested in learning about that or just joining our community, we have a free 3-day trial. The link is in the description for you to do that. And we'll be able to, just teach you everything you need to know about crypto, get you into a safe environment where you can learn and grow and learn about how to build this technology, how to use this technology. And again, on Monday, we will be covering how to create your own NFTs. So a link is in the description, and a link is also in the chat. The coding bootcamp, Red Pill Finance, I can release it at any minute. There's a few things that I need to tighten up personally, and then it'll be ready to go. But there's enough content already in the JavaScript bootcamp for you, for those of you to go through, and please don't take this the wrong way, Red Pill Finance, because I'm not attacking you, but there are some of you in the Academy who keep asking me about the coding bootcamp, the new one I'm creating, and I haven't seen you actually do not one assignment from the old bootcamp. It's like a lot of you want content, but what are you doing with the content that's already there? And again, I'm not attacking you per se, Red Pill Finance. Please don't think I'm coming at you. But there's 8 assignments, 8 projects in the JavaScript bootcamp right now, and probably only about 3 or 4 of you guys I've actually seen post something in the JavaScript bootcamp, right? So, it's like a lot of you want new content, but you're not doing anything with the old content. So you have to be mindful of that. What is on the new one? The new one, I'm covering web development, because what happened with many of you, I didn't know. And again, please do not take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm not trying to attack anyone, just keeping it real with you. I didn't know that many of you severely lack tech skills. Many of you do not know what a uniform resource locator is, which is a URL. You don't know what a protocol is. You don't know what HTTP is. You don't know what a web browser is, an application, what a web browser actually is doing. You don't know what the World Wide Web is and versus the internet, what an IP address is. And again, it's not a knock on you. A lot of you just don't know it. So when I was covering things in a JavaScript bootcamp, I was covering it from a standpoint thinking that a lot of this stuff was second nature to some of you, and that we were going to cover some of these concepts, and then you would go behind what I was teaching you and kind of fill it in. Because see, I learned how to code by just putting my hands on keys. I'm a gamer, so I've been building computers and coding and doing HTML. You going back to MySpace. Like if you wanted to put an animation on your MySpace page, you used HTML to do that, right? So I was assuming that everyone knew that. But most people don't know that. And again, it's no knock on you. So now I have to go back and tell you the history of the internet, that the internet's 420 fiber optic cables spread throughout the world, and that ISPs plug into that, and the cables then go from the big cables all the way, all those cables you see above ground or underground, they then lead up to your home and then plug into your router and your modem and then give you, that transmits data back and forth. And then your web browser is an application sitting on top of the internet, and that you have a physical layer, you have a data layer, and then you have all of these other protocols that talk to each other. Many people don't know that, right? So when you're talking over people's heads. So I had to go back and cover all of those basic things and talk to you about HTML being the structure of a page, and CSS being the style of a page, and JavaScript being the functionality of a page, and talking to you about how those three pieces of technology works with your web browser. Again, many people, they don't know these things. So it becomes very hard to try to get into some, like, how can we get to React.js? How can we get to Solidity? How can we start building dApps and, getting into the different applications if people don't even really know what a web browser is doing, right? So, again, I'm not, what I'm saying, right? Right. So, I'm not trying to go, to be that be rude or anything, but like I said before, and then it's like you put together all that content, and there are people who aren't even going through the basic content. So it takes time to put together this stuff, because now what you have to think about is this: I have to script the video, I have to record the video, then there's going to be bloopers, second, third, fourth takes, right? So then I have to edit the video. So then I have to export the video. Then I have to upload the video to Kajabi. So that 10-minute video that you're watching in the academy may take me 40 minutes to record one video, between recording it, scripting it, and editing it. If there's 30 or 40 videos in one particular section, how long do you think it's going to take me to put these things together, right? So I understand what I'm doing now. I always tell individuals, I believe in transparency. If you feel that I'm going too slow and you feel that you're not getting enough value, there's courses on Udemy that you could purchase for $10 outside of the academy. And I don't mind you canceling your membership if you feel that I'm not giving you the things that you need in a timely fashion. But again, there's so many other ways that you can engage coding. So I hope, and again, I can't put a guarantee on this, I hope that everything should be finalized. I have people going through it, testing it, looking over some of the things that I'm saying. I hope that it could be released by the end of this month, beginning of next month. But I can't put any guarantees on that. So, and I hope that answers your question. If you've already started the $1 Billion Man, give me 1 second, guys. Hold on real quick. I'm back. Um, no, I will not cover Python. But the $1 billion man says I've started the JavaScript on Code Academy. Good, good. The person says we was all low key little coders in the MySpace days. Absolutely. The MySpace backgrounds had everybody coding. Yeah. Good old HTML. All Money 23 says the Academy is lit, bro. Finally joined 2 days ago. Thank you, 100%. I appreciate it. Polka Swap, Moonbeam, and Paralink. I'm waiting for. Yeah, yeah. Um, guys, you know I've been talking about Moonbeam and Polka Swap for a while. Thank you for the donation. Real talk. The rabbit finally got the gun. All hail Eli. No problem. I had took your advice on where to start coding. Thanks for the stream. No problem. So let's see what's going on in the market right now. We're coming up on an hour. I know the market is starting to sell off. As I said before, earlier today, I did a live stream on my Instagram page, and I was telling you guys that we need one more crash, one more wipeout to get rid of a lot of this dumb money. I covered bond yields, red pill finance in my previous video. Bond yields are a joke. If you look at the overall trend of bond yields, they've all been trending down, especially the 10-year. Basically, what they're saying is that they expect inflation's coming, so therefore they want more yield to lock up their money. Go back and look at a chart of the 10-year Treasury. You'll see that the trend of the yield has consistently year over year, it's been going down in a long-term trend. The only way out of this is inflation. That's it. We know that. There's no other way that the Fed can beat deflation. There's no other way that they can beat technology and the disruption but to print money. That's what's going to happen. So in the short term, will bond yields spike? Can a 10-year get to 2.25%, 2.5%, maybe even 3%? Absolutely. But then the Fed's going to come out with Operation Twist. They're going to come out with quantitative easing, and they're going to push down bond yields like they always do. That's just what the Fed has been doing time and time again, going back to the Great Recession of 2008. You don't have to have a PhD in finance to just simply say, if they've been doing this, if you read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, there's nothing new going on here. The only way the economy can grow is that we go into debt. We just watched them pass a $1.9 trillion stimulus. Joe Biden's already talking about a $3 trillion infrastructure bill. And then there will be more stimuluses to come. We definitely will get to a point where I believe that we will have some type of universal basic income that will be passed throughout these next 3 years of this administration. When you have the Democrats in control, they're definitely going to look to spend a tremendous amount of money, and that's the only way the economy's going to grow. So yes, bond yields matter, but in the short term, bond yields will push asset prices down, but long term, bond yields will go back down. And we're going to go to negative rates. That's just where eventually we're going to go across the board, is where we're going. In terms of gold is going to have a lot of trouble competing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to steal a lot of thunder from gold, is what I personally believe. And that's just because, Bitcoin's a better store of value for the digital world. And I don't say that because I own silver, I own gold. So I'm not saying that to put it down, but it's just more institutions. When you look at it from a risk to reward standpoint, we don't know how much gold is above ground. We truly don't know. We don't know how much gold we can actually pull out of the ground because there's a lot of restrictions around the gold market. We know for a fact that there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. So we know how many Bitcoin exist as of today. Also, the fact that Bitcoin, it's borderless, it's permissionless, and is censorship resistant. Bitcoin is a better store of value than gold could ever be because gold will always require you to have someone hold it for you. And Bitcoin right now sitting at less than $1 trillion is laughable. I'm a firm believer that Bitcoin's going to get to $4 or $5 trillion. And then when you start thinking about the S&P 500, right, the Fortune 500 companies, if they start allocating 1 to 3% of their treasury to Bitcoin, they're not allocating to gold, right? So you need to make sure that you're just being mindful of those things. That's what's going to happen. You know, Bitcoin will dominate. Bitcoin will dominate the store of value marketplace. Now, there will be other stores of value, but I think that Bitcoin serves that purpose of just strictly being a store of value. Now, when we start thinking about Ethereum and EIP 1559, I believe in the long run that Ethereum is more is ultrasound money compared to Bitcoin. But again, that's, you know, certain things have to happen before that for that to happen. Bitcoin is the superior store of value as of today. Thank you for the donation, Ballhead Jamaican. Poor man donations. Damn, I don't know people ain't know the basics, but hey, we all here to learn. Bless up everybody. Yeah, definitely. And I just think that once we cover the basics and we get like, remember, this is also new for me being a teacher as well, right? I don't come from like a teaching background. It's not like I worked in academia prior to this. So I'm learning with you guys as well. And what I learned is that, you know, a lot of you felt intimidated by the information and you just gave up. And I don't want to create a scenario where a lot of you are, you know, just sitting around and you're not doing anything and you feel like you can't ask questions, right? So I want to make sure that I can cover all of that for a lot of you guys and then be able to move on to the more advanced stuff. Of course, George Diaz, we will be covering React.js because that will be helping us build out our dApps, our front ends for our dApps and our applications. I cover how to move your Bitcoin from Cash App to the ledger within the Academy. There's a module in the Bitcoin course. That's another thing too. Like a lot of you guys, you join the Academy and you don't go through the courses. And then you come into the group and you ask questions that are covered in the courses. Again, not attacking, just simply saying to you, know, it takes time to put together that content. So, you know, go through the courses if you're going to join the Academy. Dope Guy Crazy says, guys, the crypto markets will 3 to 5x this year from 1.7 trillion and 6 to 10 trillion dollars this year. Absolutely. I can see us getting to about 4 to 5 trillion dollars by the end of this year easily. If you look at the GameStop fiasco, right, and look what happened with Robinhood, that's one of the clearest cases for crypto that I've ever witnessed, where literally a centralized entity woke up and said, we're changing the rules. You can sell, but you can't buy. Right? And more people are going to wake up to the problem of centralization as we go. So thank you for the donation, John P. Yeah, I'll look at a lot of you posted the helium. A few of you posted it inside of the Slack group. And when I get a chance, I'll look into it. James Matthews, I agree 100%. Says, I doubt we'll see a real bear market anytime soon. People are intensively looking at looking to keep/grow their money right now, and the USD ain't it. And not just that, but just also just the stock market right now is grossly overvalued. So people are looking at alternatives, right? So when people start looking for alternatives, this is why I say that Bitcoin's going to be superior to gold in terms of ROI, right? Return on your investment, because the better risk to reward is in Bitcoin than gold, because the gold market is overvalued at this point. The stock market's overvalued, and there's so many ways that they can suppress the price of gold and manipulate the price of gold that you can't do with Bitcoin. You can't do it. So keep that in mind. Thank you for the donation, TD Hip Hop. Uh, NFT is a money printing machine. Absolutely, if you know what you're doing. If you have the following, I plan on creating some NFTs too, around some of my content in the future, and creating a marketplace where a lot of you guys can own exclusive content from me that you can go out here and resell. I think that those things are important. Thank you for the donation, Mr. G. Will decentralized blockchain streamers like Theta be able to stop nut jobs from streaming mass murder videos, terrorism, CP, and general evilness? No, absolutely not. I mean, people they do that here on YouTube. It's just that YouTube has the technology in place to ban those things. Now I believe that if they implement the proper technology, they can do that, but they'll be, again, walking a slippery slope. Um, this is where community comes into play. The community should be able to set the guidelines as to what should and should not be allowed on a platform. And again, I'm pretty sure that there's technological solutions to that, but then is it really decentralized, right? See, this is what you have to start saying to yourself. How much decentralization do you really want on that platform? And who determines what is good content and what is not bad? It isn't a good, what is and isn't good content. These are questions that's going to be extremely hard for a lot of these platforms. So you have to keep these things in mind. I don't believe that we're ever going to have a true decentralized like streaming platform like that, because again, like you just said, you run the problems with copyright infringement, people trying to stream movies and basketball games, people trying to stream porn and murder and things of that nature. So I believe that there will always be a problem there. I believe that any streaming platform, they're going to have some type of centralization aspect to it. All right, like and this is something that Richard Hart always talks about. How much decentralization do you really need? And that will have to be a trade-off. Like, do you need just complete anarchy, or do you want a little bit of control? So that would definitely be something that we have to keep an eye on. Eli, your Umar vids are classic. I've been reading about the non-fungible tokens. Jumped on when I saw you live and talking about them. No problem. Thank you, big man. I fell back from the Umar stuff because you start venturing into a place of just pure foolishness when you start getting into the Umar stuff. And you know, at this point, it's safe to say that whether he is or isn't a scammer, whether he is or isn't, the most requested, the school's not going to open up. And I told everyone from the very, very beginning, I'm not here to try to tear someone down. We all go through trials and tribulations. I just wanted to focus on the information for those people who wanted to be the donors, that you have to ask yourself, is this a project worth investing in? And it's not a viable project. Now, in terms of, other people covering it and stuff like that, I do think that it's getting to the point where it's getting like kind of like you're beating a dead horse. Like, how many different ways can you explain that he's just not up to par for the job? Why do you have to keep, making the same videos? But again, people, they have the ability to talk about what they want to talk about. But me, I'll cover something for like 2 or 3 videos and move on. Right. But I just think that at a certain point, you have to kind of just leave things be. Because if he was doing something illegal, he would have been in jail by now. Right. We know that. Right. It's safe to say that he's not doing anything illegal. Unethical, immoral, that's up to you, but illegal, no. So and like I said before, it's safe to say that the school's not going to open. So that's, like I said, why I stopped covering it. What does transferring these cryptos such as ETH dot over to spendable currency, say to buy a house or food or clothing, look like? Well, most likely, depending on how you structure it, you're going to have to probably pay some type of tax on it. You're going to have to probably recognize some type of a capital gains tax when you do that. And then after recognize a capital gains tax, then you're gonna have to probably pay some type of transfer tax when you buy the property. There are people who purchase houses with Bitcoin. There are people who sold their houses for Bitcoin, so that definitely can happen. You just would have to look out. You would have to look at people who are doing it that way. But there are definitely ways that you could buy homes and other goods and services, cars with crypto. I mean, you could buy a Tesla with Bitcoin now, right? So just be mindful of that. And thank you for the donation, big man. If you want to reach me, OMG Productions, just simply shoot me a DM on Instagram. A link to my Instagram is in the description below. I would love to buy essentials with crypto. You can. They have crypto debit cards now. I believe the CRO, the Crow platform, they allow you to do it. PayPal is rolling out some features like that. So there are a few companies that have features for you to be able to spend your crypto. Me personally, the reason why I don't really look into a lot of those things is that crypto is designed to hold. It's not designed to be used every day. It's just because you're dealing with assets where there are finite amounts of this asset. We're so early, so you don't really see me focusing on that. But there are tons of platforms that allow you to get debit cards and spend your crypto. I believe Coinbase has a feature like that as well. You just have to look into it. 100% ETH will flip Bitcoin. Mark my words. Ethereum is a superior platform to Bitcoin. It's superior technology to Bitcoin. Look at all of the innovation. DeFi. Did DeFi happen on Bitcoin or did it happen on Ethereum? Non-fungible tokens, did it happen on Bitcoin or did it happen on Ethereum? Decentralized exchanges like Uniswap, right? Autonomous banks like Maker. Decentralized banks like Aave. Trading exchanges and derivative exchanges like Synthetics. All of these things are happening on the Ethereum platform. Like even when you look at Cardano, and this is why I laugh at, I laugh at when I hear people talk about Charles and, he comes on there with these silly ass cowboy hats and these big, scarves on. And he talks to you every day about the same thing over and over again about one Gauguin and Plutus and all of these different things. There's no innovation happening on that blockchain. All of the innovation is happening on the Ethereum blockchain within the Ethereum ecosystem. Now, that doesn't mean that Ethereum can eventually lose its footing. But right now, I want to put my money, if I'm speculating and I just want to make a quick buck, well, you could speculate in Dogecoin, right? You could speculate into Solana or one of these other coins or Cardano. But if I'm looking at technology and I'm saying to myself, I want to invest in things that will be here 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, and it will still be innovating, then I want to put my money with Ethereum. When you look at the Binance Smart Chain, who did they copy? Did they copy Polkadot? Did they copy Avalanche? Did they copy any of these other, smart contract platforms? Oh, wait, Cardano doesn't even have smart contract functionality yet. They copied the Ethereum virtual machine, right? So, you need to make sure that you are mindful of these things, right? So these are things that I look at and I laugh at it, because you clearly see where the innovation's happening at, and the innovation's happening in a decentralized way. When you look at IOHK and you start saying to yourself this is a group of centralized developers. Like I don't see this robust community of developers building things and building applications. I see Charles basically being the guy barking out the orders and a bunch of people following him. To me, it looks like a cult. What I watch happening in Cardano looks extremely similar to the Ripple shitheads from a couple years ago, right? The XRP army, right? So you have to understand, I've been around long enough. I've watched this happen time and time again. Now, at a certain point, Ethereum almost did flip Bitcoin back in the day, and that will happen. When you look at how the fees are going to be burned with EIP 1559, right? Think about this. After 21 million Bitcoin, there will no longer be any more block subsidies within Bitcoin. So what's going to be the incentive for miners to secure the Bitcoin network? Right? Think about it, right? So what the Bitcoiners are saying is they hope that at that point, the Bitcoin economy is so robust that people will be spending their Bitcoin. But then that goes against the whole purpose of what Bitcoin was designed to be. Bitcoin was designed to be a store of value. So if you remove the block subsidy, why would the miners want to mine Bitcoin and protect the network if they're not getting that block subsidy that they were normally getting? Ethereum right now today generates more fees than Bitcoin. Right now today. Don't believe me? Let's pull this up right now. We can see that, right? The very thing that Bitcoin is hoping to get, Ethereum has it right now. I believe it's crypto fees. I can find it. I have it in here somewhere. I think I have it saved in here. Give me 1 second. I want to pull it up just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. Let's pull this up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Right? Like if you look at crypto fees, so what incentive, if you come in right here, it says crypto fees, there are tons of crypto projects. Which ones are actually paying to use, right? So Ethereum has generated $22 million in fees. Bitcoin has what, $5 million in fees? It's laughable. It's laughable when you think about it. Like, Ethereum is dwarfing Bitcoin when it comes to fees. And people are saying to yourself, well, that doesn't make any sense. Remember, miners protect your network. Well, miners need to get compensated and paid to protect your network. So currently, Bitcoin miners, they're getting inflation, right? The block subsidy to protect the network. Why would they want to protect the network once the block subsidy goes away? So this whole idea of having a fee economy, Ethereum already has a fee-based economy. And it's the second largest cryptocurrency in the world. So if it's already surpassing Bitcoin in fees, then what do you think is going to happen 5 years from now, 3 years from now, right? It's a no-brainer that Ethereum is going to flip Bitcoin. It's laughable at this point. Because again, look at all of the innovation that's happening on the Ethereum blockchain and the ecosystem. How much innovation is happening within Bitcoin? Bitcoin, it's not even just first movers advantage. It's just a matter of, you can say first movers advantage. That's a great way of putting it. I would correct what I just said. Yeah, it's first movers advantage. And also just think about it. Most people have, when I start sitting up here and I start talking about non-fungible tokens and EIP 1559 and burn rates and optimistic rollups and ZK rollups, most people have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. I am talking a foreign language to them. Most people know, go on Coinbase, go on Cash App, Robinhood, and buy Bitcoin. And then they stumble down that rabbit hole. Most people don't really know about this stuff yet. This is why I try to tell you guys, like, yo, we're extreme. You don't understand how early we are in the game with this technology. We're extremely early with this technology. Now, again, let's say Cardano or Polkadot eventually arrives and does a job. Kudos, whoever wins the smart contract platform, they will win. One of these platforms will flip Bitcoin, period, right? That we can all agree upon. Bitcoin has no utility outside of being a store of value. I just told you, think about, we're talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. How large is the music industry, right? Think about artists coming on here now and controlling their content and removing middlemen and removing all of the bureaucracy. How big is the music industry? Well, what happens if 10 or 15% of the music industry comes onto Cardano or comes onto or Polkadot or Avalanche? What does that do? right? Start thinking about the gaming industry. Start thinking about Bethesda and all of these big studios that owns all of this content. If they start coming into the non-fungible space, think about old games like Super Mario Brothers. How much is that IP worth, that intellectual property worth? Think about Marvel and comic books, and you're taking the physical comic book and minting digital versions of the comic book. So this idea that somehow Bitcoin, with just being a store of value, is going to be able to compete with so many other use cases that these other blockchains have, it's laughable. You can't do any of this stuff that I just named on Bitcoin. Nothing, right? Think about the movie industry, right? Right now, I'm as soon as I get off of here, I'm about to purchase HBO Max and go watch the Snyder cut of the Justice League. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I've just been busy doing things. How, moving that type of IP onto imagine if we had like 1,000 copies or 2,000 copies, and the first 2,000 people can only watch the Snyder cut of that, and then you could go out here and resell that. What would that be worth? And then the creators, they get 10% of everything that when you resell it, right? There's just so much you can do with it. Like the guy just said, GTA NFTs. Grand Theft Auto is a game. I believe Grand Theft Auto came out 7 years ago, GTA 5, and people are still buying items inside of that game. So, Bitcoin, it's laughable when you listen to the maxis because they've been wrong and they will continue to keep being wrong. Right. So it's so much bigger than that, that people they have no idea about it. Now, Mr. G is right about Ethereum getting diluted. Ethereum's getting diluted by its own success. See, follow me here. This is why you have to be a three-dimensional thinker. You can't be an idiot Bitcoin maxi. When you see Ethereum and then you see Uniswap's worth almost $5 billion. That's $5 billion that's not going into ETH. That's $5 billion that's going into Uniswap. That's on top of Ethereum. When you see Synthetics, when you see Aave, when you see Maker, when you see all of these successful blockchains or Chainlink launching on top of the Ethereum ecosystem, they're pulling money from ETH. What you're missing is that you need gas to power those applications. So now the way that Ethereum is going to grow is when Ethereum starts to scale. Because when you start bringing billions of people onto the blockchain and you start processing trillions upon trillions of transactions, trillions upon trillions of transactions in gas, that's what's going to make Ethereum valuable. Then you have to think about ETH 2.0, where now, as a validator, I earn a dividend, right? I'm a validator with proof of stake. So now Ethereum becomes like a bond. It becomes like a treasury because the more ETH I own, the more passive income that I begin to get. So it puts a floor underneath Ethereum. That's what so many of you are failing to realize. You have to use gas in order to power these dApps. And then now when we move to proof of stake, it creates buying pressure under ETH because guess what? If I'm collecting fees on my Ethereum, why would I sell it? Right? So it creates this floor under, like I said before, what's going to incentivize the miners to protect the Bitcoin network after the 21 millionth Bitcoin is mined? Nothing. But see, so many people don't know these things because, again, they're not studying the game theory. Bitcoin is based upon incentives. It's an incentive-based network, right? The miners don't attack the network because they get rewarded in Bitcoin inflation. And as long as the price of Bitcoin is going up and there's new inflation to subsidize that, then they keep doing that. The problem is a block subsidy gets cut in half every 210,000 blocks or every 4 years. Right? So now again, I'm hedging myself with Polkadot. I'm a big fan of Polkadot. I believe that whether Ethereum is or is not successful, Polkadot will have huge success because Polkadot will be the bridge. I don't believe that there will be one blockchain to rule them all. I believe that Chainlink has utility and has a place in the marketplace. I believe that the Graph token has a place in the marketplace. I believe Cardano has a place. I believe that Cardano is going to be the centralized version of Ethereum. And there are a lot of people who don't like decentralization and governments who will partner with Cardano. And I believe that Polkadot will be the bridge that links all chains, which is why you see me heavily investing in infrastructure plays like, Chainlink and Polkadot and things of that nature. This is why I believe that Moonbeam is going to be big, because Moonbeam is going to be the bridge between different dexes and different blockchains. So I believe that all of these chains have different places, but Ethereum will be the one to rule. When I say rule, I mean like the superior one, right? And then, Cardano can take second or third place, but Ethereum will be a multi-trillion-dollar asset, and I firmly believe that. All right, I'll check the message when I get a chance. OMG production. Um, no, the Nano S is not a good wallet. They have bundles. I have a Nano S right here. This only can hold, I believe, like 5 cryptocurrencies at a time. It doesn't have a lot of storage, and there's just certain coins that it can't hold. By far, I like the Nano Ledger X, in my personal opinion. There's another wallet that I'm starting to look at now. I just purchased it. I'm not going to tell you guys yet until I get a chance to review it. Litecoin, I don't love it or hate it. I think it's garbage because it's just not enough utility. Like there's not enough innovation happening on the chain, in my personal opinion. So I think it's garbage from that standpoint, but I don't love it or hate it. It's not a scam. It's just, again, don't believe me, go back and watch my old videos. Back in the top 10 when Bitcoin Cash was in the top 10, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision was in the top 10, EOS was in the top 10, and I told you guys, Ripple, I said these cryptocurrencies are garbage in terms of they had their opportunity and they squandered it. And Ethereum and so many other, Algorand and Elrond, so many just other projects are innovating at such a fast clip. Matic, Polygon, VeChain, just so many, Aave, Maker, so many better projects. They're innovating so fast that I said the top 10 will look vastly different in the next 6 months. Look at it. Go back. If you think I'm lying, go back and watch the videos. Do you see Bitcoin Satoshi Vision here? EOS, they're not here anymore. Look at Theta. Theta rocketed. Theta went on a monster run. I remember when Theta was $2, $3. Look at it now. Look at Bitcoin Cash falling like a rock. Stellar. These projects, they're superior things that you can invest in to Ripple and all this other garbage, and it's happening right before your very eyes. So it's not that I think that Litecoin's a scam or anything. I just think that it's not innovating as fast enough to compete with what's happening in the marketplace. The NFT smart contract doesn't transfer to different exchanges platforms, so the original creator won't receive royalties. I don't really understand exactly what you're saying. 360 magnetic solutions. So and now you're sitting here talking about infinite supply will lose value over time. ETH claims that it will burn ETH when the surplus. Yeah, okay, whatever you're talking about. Cool, if you say so. I'm not debating with anyone. What's your favorite NFT project? I only share that with my students in the academy. I'm not gonna do that right now until later on once it starts to break out. But if you're in the academy, you know the NFT project I'm involved in. I'm about to add 2 more projects. I'm working on a list that I'm about to send out. Mr. G, let me ask you a question. Who pre-mined Bitcoin? How much Bitcoin did Satoshi own at the beginning? Wasn't Bitcoin pre-mined? Who protected the network when the network first launched? Didn't Satoshi have to pre-mine Bitcoin in order to protect the network, in order to get the network up and running? You know, you Bitcoin maxis, man. You just the things you say just they don't make sense. They just don't. Right? Didn't someone have to mine full blocks in order to protect the network? Didn't at one point Satoshi had a large amount of the supply compared to everyone else? Wouldn't that be considered a pre-mine? Right? Right? Wouldn't that be a pre-mine? No, guys. I don't talk about it. Durka 13. I don't talk about any of the Academy stuff here. We're gonna have our Academy stream on Monday for the NFT stuff, and I'm gonna cover that. Teach you guys how to make your own NFTs and mint your own NFTs and things of that nature. Also, just how to market it, and how to try to get people interested in your NFT projects. And that will be on Monday. But again, guys, remember that if you're in the Academy, shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. That's what I'm here for. When you're paying for access to me. So when you have a question, Zero Cool is a beast. I love Zero Cool. Mr. G's a beast. Zero Cool's a beast. Mr. G's Mr. Bitcoin, right? So if you got a Bitcoin question, shoot Mr. G a question, a DM, post it in there. Mr. G got you with Bitcoin. Zero Cool, he covers all of the other stuff, right? So we, as newbies, guys, don't be afraid to ask questions, man. I don't care how stupid you think the question is, how dumb, redundant. Ask the questions. That's what we got our group for. And you know what I'm saying? And worst case scenario, shoot me a DM. It comes right to my phone. Whoop, right? And I look at it and I respond to you based upon the urgency or need to respond to it. Right? I will go for 4 more minutes. Yeah, Mr. G, but my point is whether nobody believed in it at all. You keep talking about Ethereum being pre-mined. Bitcoin was pre-mined. So Satoshi had to mine Bitcoin at a certain point to get people to buy into it, right? Christopher Terrell. Mr. G, looks like you have competition in the chat, Mr. G. Christopher Terrell said simple. Eli with Academy. How do I join the Slack group? Give me your name and email. Give me your name right now. I add you. Let's see if you are our actual real member, and I'll add you. You don't need a cap supply to be asymptotically harder than Bitcoin. And that's what a lot of you don't understand. It's math. It's the same as Monero. Monero has the same, hard cap as Bitcoin, although it doesn't have a hard cap, it has the same. When you look at what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing the word. Right? When you look at the actual chart towards the years, 2140 and beyond, you see that the inflation is capped at the same way because you can burn the fees. Moonbeam's going to drop in Q2. ETH is not centralized, but you can say what you want. The logic's fair. I'll allow you to go. Renee Cottrell, let me look you up right now. I'm going to look you up and I'll add you. Let's make sure I got your name spelled correctly. Renee, right? So let's look you up. Because sometimes I know a lot of you guys, you have trouble getting into the group. So I'll fix that for you right now. Just make sure you're a paying member. Okay, so it looks like you try to join twice. Well, that's why. It looks like you joined twice. So that's why you can't get access to the group. Let's see if you're paying on this one. Info purchases. Okay, yeah, you good. I got you. So I'm gonna add you now. Yeah, you up to date. Yeah, cause see, you have two accounts. That's why it's hard to add you. So I'm gonna add you right now as we speak. That's probably why the system kicked you out. You guys have to be careful with that. Um. So check your email. I'm adding you as we speak to the group. You've been added, Renee. Right? Go check your Yahoo. That's what it says you at. So you've been added to the group. Elijah, I've been in the Slack, but they say it's hard to renew my contact admin. Please help, JS. Um, Give me your email right now, and I'll figure out how to fix it for you right now. Bullish on PokerSwap, 100%. PokerSwap's going to be a big project. Moonbeam and Akala is going to be a big project, or Asala, however you say it, Acala. Those are projects I'm dumping big bags on. Uh, John P, I'm gonna answer that question in a second. A donation just came through. For what I've read, Moonbeam isn't going to be readily accessible when it drops. Can speak on how we can get it in the community. Yeah, that's one thing with a lot of these projects. We don't know exactly, just because the project launches and it's official doesn't mean that there will be a token or a cryptocurrency readily to buy. And we don't really know what the rollout's going to be. They just said Q2 it's going to drop. So I don't really know any more about the Moonbeam rollout than you do, right? At this point, they've been real hush about the project. So if you're a part of the Slack community, right, we just will follow it. And as soon as I know something, I'll let you guys know. ASAP. JS, please post your email address so I can figure out what's going on with you in the Slack group. But yeah, Michael Davis, I don't know anything more about the actual release of the actual token any more than you do. If I find out something, I'll let you know. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sharon Lewis. That's a decent project. JS Finance. All right. So I'm gonna save you, J Finance, and I'll look over and see what's going on and see if I can help you out with your trying. You're trying to change. Let me see a question again. Um. Oh, you want to renew your contact information? All right. Yeah, Dirk, I got you. I'm gonna edit some stuff and I'm gonna post it into the group and let everyone else look at it. Okay. And we have our first troll of the night. Let's remove you. We're not talking about what you just posted, so you're removed. It could have been my billing. I provide a card again. Seems like it would not go through. Yeah. I'll figure out what's going on. Don't worry. I'll see what's going on with your account and I'll take care of it. So last question, John P says, shout out. Shouldn't the Oracle from the Matrix be considered one of the heroes for helping disrupt the loop, which ultimately freed everyone who didn't want to be in the Matrix? I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But the reason why I say that the Oracle is actually the villain is because she knew that she was influencing the decisions for Neo to make these decisions. And in the end, remember that Zion's just another form of control. Zion's not freedom. So although they quote unquote broke the loop, they broke the loop into what? Because Zion is a dump. It's in the bottom of it's all the way down in the ground. It's cold. They're eating slop. They don't have good food, right? So remember, like the architect stated, that Zion is just another form of control. So is it really true freedom? So did the Oracle really free them, or did she just basically put them in another form of bondage? These are things that you have to keep in mind, right? So this is why I say, to me, what she did was she just gave everyone a false sense of hope to keep fighting for something, but in the end, still be in control. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. We're going on an hour and 35 minutes. I don't want to go too long. Please do me a favor and like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, set it to all. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. Make sure that you join my mailing list by entering in your name, your email address, and your telephone number, because I'm going to start notifying a lot of you via text message when I'm going live. And just to wrap up this live stream, I 100% agree with GaryVee. I believe that the NFT space is untapped territory. This is much bigger than just JPEGs. It's much bigger than, these little punks and people selling tweets and auctioning off tweets. This technology has far-reaching implications. As I said before, when you start thinking about the gaming industry, when you start thinking about creatives, people who are writing books, being able to circumvent middlemen and being able to transact in a peer-to-peer way, and you, the peer, being able to own that content and not having to worry about Apple censoring that content or what you can put on a platform, or Xbox shutting down your account and you losing all of that content. That's extremely, extremely powerful when you start thinking about these things and going forward. So again, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be back to regularly live streaming. If you're interested in learning about this technology, how to build crypto, how to store crypto, how to buy crypto, on Monday we're going to have an NFT special in the Academy. I'm going to be showing you guys how to mint and create your own NFTs. A link to join my Tech Academy is in the description below. We have a free 3-day trial that you can test out and see if you like it. With that being said, guys, have a blessed and beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.